In our recent videos, we've spent quite a lot of time talking about the villainous aspects of a villain, what makes an antagonist repulsive yet respectable at the same time. So it would be fair to talk about their good counterparts, and they are the protagonists. The protagonists are usually different from the antagonists as well as the supporting characters because, let's face it, they are quote-unquote different. They may have gifted parents whose abilities were passed down to them when they were kids, or they have a secret ability unique to them and them only, or maybe it's simply because the protagonist is not the kind of person you would see every day. So, in other words, they are special, but that's not the case for Denji. The protagonist of the famous Chainsaw Man manga and anime, Denji is known for his debauched thoughts on exploring his lustful desires, although he is underage. At the outset, Denji seems like a character that lacks the bare minimum degree of honor and integrity in any given situation. He hesitates from giving up on his life in the blink of an eye, and he isn't comfortable letting go of the privilege he gets. Denji's honesty and goodness, well, sort of immature, marks him as an unconventional character, more like an anti-hero of sorts. However, Denji is special in a way. He got fused with a devil in a unique contract and still retained his body with his own human identity. So, how does that make this 16-year-old blonde-haired boy so special? In this video, we'll be exploring Denji's personality in general while simultaneously delving into the intricacies of his anatomy as the titular Chainsaw Man. But before we get started, we do have a request for you. If you enjoy our content, make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and share the channel among your fellow otakus. Marvelous Videos brings the best of anime every single day, just for you. So, without further ado, let's begin. A world filled with fiends, devils, and devil hunters. What Chainsaw Man is all about. Before we kickstart with the tale of Denji, let us first look at the very plot of Chainsaw Man. The human world is often plagued by sudden visits from certain entities from hell, known as devils. These devils attempt to destroy the human world with the help of their absurd yet lethal abilities. Hence, the government of Japan formed the Public Safety Devil Hunters to terminate the devils that prevail in the human world. Simultaneously, there are a few more groups in the Chainsaw Man universe that have an impact on the investigations and hunts organized by the Devil Hunters in order to take down the devils. So, let us look at the three important categories of living entities that appear throughout the plot of Chainsaw Man and their one uniting factor: devils, fiends, devil hunters, and contracts. Devils. The devils are grotesque creatures residing in hell with special abilities that are also seemingly comprehensible to human beings. In short, they look terrible, have terrifying abilities, and can seamlessly communicate with human beings. Each devil has a special power that is attributed to a particular object or idea. For instance, the gun devil has the power or intensity of ammunition, while the blood devil can manipulate blood to shape it as a weapon. The degree of strength of a devil, however, depends on how much that object or idea is feared by human beings. The more fear people have towards the idea, the stronger the devil of the corresponding idea becomes. Besides this, the devils consume the blood of other living beings to gain more strength and heal at a quicker pace. Also, they can make contracts with human beings so that the latter can use their powers, but at the cost of sacrificing a part of their body or even their soul. Fiends. When devils possess human beings, mostly their corpses, they turn into fiends. These fiends are a less powerful kind when compared to hybrids, as well as devils themselves. As seen in episode 3 of the first season of Chainsaw Man, Power, a fiendish version of the Blood Devil, failed to fight against the Bat Devil, who eventually consumed her until Denji rescued her in his Chainsaw Man form. Although fiends do have the ability to heal quickly via blood consumption, they cannot put up a fight without risking their own lives. Devil Hunters. The Devil Hunters, as the name suggests, hunt down devils, but it's not as easy as it sounds. In Japan, the Public Safety Devil Hunters are tasked with the responsibility of eliminating the devils that attack the human world at all costs. Although they are humans themselves, most of the Devil Hunters have a pact with the devils in the form of contracts. This assures the Devil Hunters that they can manifest the ability of a devil, but that can only happen in exchange for an attribute of their body or soul. For instance, Himino, a member of the Public Safety Devil Hunters, has a contract with the Ghost Devil that allows her to use telekinetic powers in return for her right eye. Contracts. Extending from the previous point, the contracts play a crucial role in Chainsaw Man. After all, it is the ultimate foundation of the main storyline. As discussed in the previous point, a contract is made between a devil and a human, usually a devil hunter, so that the latter can take down another devil if need be. However, a human must give up a part of their own selves to keep their end of the bargain. Sometimes it can be just as simple as using the power of the devil while retaining your human body, or becoming a fiend upon being possessed possessed by a devil or just turning into a human-devil hybrid. No matter what the consequences are, a contract is necessary for a devil to work with a human being, even if that means the latter has to sacrifice a major part of their own self. Denji is, without a doubt, a unique person among the cast of Chainsaw Man, and this is reiterated from the very first episode of the season. Denji is introduced as a person who is known for selling off his organs for his own sustenance, which also includes that of his pet devil Pochita. As if to anticipate his eventual pact with Pochita, Denji becomes the Chainsaw Man only because the Chainsaw Devil sees him as a good person and wants to see him live his life to the fullest. So, for a guy who can keep a lit cigarette in his mouth for a couple of bucks, what makes Denji, aka the Chainsaw Man, one of the most engaging anime protagonists ever? Let's begin with his origin story. Indebted devil bounty hunter becomes the thing he hunts. Sort of. How Denji becomes Chainsaw Man. Season 1, Episode 1 of Chainsaw Man is entirely dedicated to Denji's life before he became a human-devil hybrid. Having sold some of his organs, which includes his right eye, Denji works as a devil hunter as part of the Yakuza, so he can pay off his father's debts at a gradual pace. He is often accompanied by a little fluffy pet devil that goes by the name of Pochita. It is orange in color and has a little chainsaw protruding from between its large, round eyes. Pochita also has a tail that functions as a pull cord in order to be wielded as an actual chainsaw to cut down something or someone. Denji's life took a downward turn when the Yakuza decided to release the zombie devil on him by ambushing the protagonist with a mob of the Walking Dead. As he is beaten up and left to die inside a garbage can, the blood from his wounds trickles down, only to drip on the face of an injured Pochita. When it gains its senses, Pochita discovers Denji on the verge of death, and this is where a major development takes place. As Pochita attempts to fuse itself onto Denji's body, the orange devil appears in the latter's dream, expressing its desire to see Denji fulfill his aspirations and lead a good life. With this, we see the last of Pochita and Denji is resurrected. However, he's no longer a human. As a frustrated zombie devil deploys his army of the undead towards our morose protagonist, Denji yanks the pull cord on his chest to become the infamous Chainsaw Man. With chainsaws protruding from his head and hands, a horrifying avatar of Denji is unleashed as he goes about the warehouse, slicing up every assailant that comes near him. In the same way, Denji emerges triumphant after a series of brutal and gruesome attacks that ultimately culminate in the death of the zombie devil. However, in case you're wondering, Denji is not the only human-devil hybrid that exists in the Chainsaw Man universe. But first, let's break down what a hybrid is. To put it simply, hybrids have the appearance and consciousness of a human being and are capable of changing into a hybridized form of a devil. In this state, the human can make use of the abilities of the devils with whom he is fused early on. These hybrids usually transform from a human into an anthropomorphic devil when triggered by a physical stimulus. Moreover, the hybrids have superior regenerative qualities and can revive upon consuming enough blood. Deemed as the grotesque yet best versions of both worlds, the hybrids are supposedly rare in number, yet our blonde-haired Denji is the most prominent hybrid that exists in the main plot. This list also includes the likes of the Katana Man, Rize or the Bomb Devil, Quan Chi or the Crossbow Devil, and more. With this, we come to one of the major points that we addressed previously. Why is the Chainsaw Man detested so much by other devils? More importantly, what are Denji's powers and abilities as the Chainsaw Man? He's got chainsaws for limbs and a head, but that doesn't limit him at all. The real reason most devils hate the Chainsaw Man. Yeah, the subheading might have spoiled it for you, but not entirely. As far as anatomy is concerned, it's imperative that the physical appearance, along with the powers and abilities, are taken into account. So we'll discuss 3 major aspects of Denji's physiological factors in our final segment. Denji's anatomical changes as the Chainsaw Man. For Denji to turn into the Chainsaw Man from his human form, he only has to tug at the pull cord that hangs from his chest. This would automatically initiate the transformation process. As the chainsaws spurt out of his body, there are deep wounds that continue to bleed, especially when his chainsaws are up and running. Besides these, his entire head changes into a black and orange mechanical demonic head with fangs in place of the mouth. Interestingly, his torso remains the same, and he retains his clothes even though he undergoes a severe physical transformation. His eyes appear as yellow lights from underneath some vent-like gaps on his face, while his neck is wrapped up in a bunch of black wires. From the outset, Denji, in his hybrid form as the Chainsaw Man, has 3 chainsaws emerging from his hands and his head, while the chainsaws in his arms emerge from his forearms and are maneuvered in the same way he moves his own limbs. The chainsaw protruding from his forehead functions in a different way. It is operated on the basis of his psychic actions and thus gets activated whenever he chooses. However, there is a limit to using his chainsaws. Denji, in his hybrid form, can inflict lethal attacks on his adversaries only if he has enough blood in his body. Given the fact that he loses a lot of blood while he fights as the Chainsaw Man, Denji's powers can dry up if he doesn't have adequate blood in him. On such an occasion, Denji can resort back to his hybrid form, but his chainsaw would only protrude halfway out of his forehead. So yeah, it will still be a painful ordeal for our blonde-haired protagonist. Anyway, let's move on to his powers and abilities. The powers and abilities of the Chainsaw Man. Well, Denji's powers as the Chainsaw Man actually come from Pochita's fusion with his body as part of their contract. Pochita is, after all, none other than the original Chainsaw Devil, the most feared entity among all other devils. Wondering why? Well, you'll have to stay tuned for a while. In the meantime, let's delve into Pochita's powers that appear in Denji's Chainsaw Man form as well. It goes without saying that the first line of defense for Denji in his hybrid form is, quite obviously, his chainsaws. As his primary weapons, they're quite effective against almost every devil that he's fought against over the course of Season 1. Some of his other remarkable abilities include his super speed, which often resembles teleportation. Also, the body of the Chainsaw Man is durable to the extent that he is nearly unbreakable in this form. Be it banging him with a wooden bat on the head or withstanding sonic blasts, the exterior of Denji's hybrid form is overwhelmingly tough. Denji's unmatched endurance is accompanied by his sheer strength and healing factor. In his hybrid form as the Chainsaw Man, Denji is capable of inflicting irreparable damage to the extent that, at one point, his fight against Mirisugo and Quan Chi resulted in several buildings toppling one after another. The same degree of superiority applies to his healing ability as well. Denji's trump card as the Chainsaw Man. Ever since Denji appeared in the series as the human-devil hybrid of the Chainsaw Devil, he has become the most sought-after entity by all other devils in hell. So much so that the public security devil hunters were allowed to escape the hotel only if they were willing to give up Denji to the Eternity Devil. Well, it is because the Eternity Devil, just like the other devils in hell, is frightened of the very existence of the Chainsaw Devil. But why? The answer is unexpectedly simple. The Chainsaw Devil is the only one with the ability to consume his own kind. In other words, the Chainsaw Devil is capable of consuming every other devil that exists, which results in the erasure of the fear of that object or idea from the consciousness of ordinary people. In a way, the Chainsaw Man is a human-friendly devil whose powers go against the infernal beings themselves. An instance of this infamous devil erasure ability occurs in the manga when Kishibe fails to remember certain major historical events like the Holocaust, the rise of the Nazis, and nuclear armament. This means the Chainsaw Devil had been successful in consuming the devils of the respective ideas or objects, which is why people had completely forgotten about the events that would immediately strike fear in their hearts. Although the specificities of this ability are yet to be given in detail, the devil erasure ability goes on to suggest that Pochita's reputation as the Chainsaw Devil, which has now been passed down to Denji as part of their contract, is feared even by the likes of Makima. For Pochita is deemed as one of the most dangerous devils in hell, often considered at the level of the primordial devils. Marvelous verdict! Indeed, the Chainsaw Man is an anomaly amongst anomalies. After all, devils are born from and strengthened by the continued fear of the people in the human world. And, in a paradoxical way, the same league of devils is pitted against one of their kind, who is known for consuming them until their existence is erased completely. And Denji's position here is quite pivotal to the entire storyline, because he's not just any hybrid. He is the human-devil hybrid of one of the most powerful devils to ever exist, and he was able to win Pochita over solely through his honesty and sincerity, because that's all it takes for a person to become a hero, even if he has the most debaucherous desires.